say good morning, good afternoon, or good night. And I'm sure the crew feels a little bit like that also. But whatever, welcome. They deployed a satellite. They rendezvoused and retrieved a large facility. They performed many experiments in orbit and relayed the information to the ground that will allow us to develop technology. They performed a long-duration mission which will allow us to do things that we need to do in the future. And they performed a night landing. One word, outstanding. We have with us today not only STS-32 crew and their families, but we have the Administrator of NASA, Admiral Richard Truey. Please join me in welcoming Admiral Truey.
Thank you, Aaron and Dan and all of you guys on the crew. Let me just say that America and the world has been watching while you've been gone in the last 10 days. You've started off the 1990s for the space program in a way that just couldn't have been any better. You've held out for us a standard of excellence and professionalism on all the flights that are going to be coming here in the next year, through the rest of this year, and in coming years.
Coming out here, as both Aaron and Admiral Julie indicated, it was a long mission and a lot to do, and we certainly didn't do it alone. It took many years to pull that mission all together, and I see just about everybody here had something to do with it and helped make that mission come off. And we really appreciate all the effort that you folks put into it to make it the success that it was. And obviously we had a good time doing it. And the Columbia held together and worked like a champ. A little glitch now and then just to keep your interest level up like a fire alarm. Matter of fact, just a little story on that. One of the experiments we were doing, Weatherby and G. David and I were running each day on the treadmill, and we had this little monitor that monitored your heart rate. Well, it just happened I was running on the treadmill when the fire alarm went off. And I got documented evidence that'll make your heart rate go up. But it really held together like a champ, and that's a real tribute to everybody that works in the space program, the contractors and the NASA people throughout this land that make our space program as good as it is, and equally the people that don't necessarily work in the space program but know and understand its value and support it and make it so we elect people like the president we have today, who is a very avid supporter of our space program, and as you can see, it looks like it's taken off, and we are very happy to be the lead off the decade and keep it going. So with that, I'd like to introduce the rest of the crew. We had 3 rookies and 1 pro, and they all did a tremendous job. You couldn't tell the rookies from the pros because everybody bit off their chunk of the pie and chewed it hard and chewed it fast. And although sometimes we were running a little bit behind the timeline, we never went to bed without having everything done. So it was by the chair, and I'd certainly like to introduce them. And first, I'll just run down and introduce them for the post. I'll let them come up and say a word. G. David Lowe, mission specialist, who is his area of primary responsibility was the SYNCOM, but isn't anything else. Everybody on the crew is a team, and we carry the load. But he got the SYNCOM off and all pulled together. Marcia Ivins, all the secondary, mid-deck experiments. I'm not trainable. I just bounce that up more often than but we had really a lot of medical experiments and materials processing experiments on board that take a lot of time, and even though they don't get the visibility of an LDEF or a SYNCOM, there's a lot of good science to be gained from them, and a lot of work goes into them. And Marcia really charged off and got her arms around that whole group of experiments and pulled them all together, and we got them all done. And then Bonnie Dunbar, our major arm operator, she's the one with the good hands that grabbed that LDEF and tucked it safely away. And the scientists that have experiments on that are going to be working on that for years to come, because there was some amazing things happened to that thing while it was up there, and we're just going to have to leave the real experts take a good look at it and come back and tell us what it's all about. But it was a real thrill for us to have the opportunity to grab it and tuck it into the payload bay and bring it home. And then Jim Weatherby, the pilot, and boy, pilot he is, he did a great job. After Bonnie grabbed it with the arm, he spent 3 solid hours flying that vehicle by hand to keep it protected, to keep the LDEF protected from the atomic oxygen and keeping it a protected attitude. So he was hand flying that thing for 3 hours and did it like a champ while we were doing the photo survey. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jim and let him say a few words.
Never possible. Except the first couple of days. 4 things I remember about this flight. 7.5 million pounds of thrust. Flying Mach 25. Making the entry with our hair on fire. And fourthly, the people. Over the last year, we've been very fortunate to have some of the best people in the world training us. And I felt really comfortable up there on ascent and entry because of the training I got. It felt like the simulator except for the thrust. Really enjoyed working with the people. Thank you very much. And I also have to thank Robin because I didn't have to worry about anything up there. I also didn't have to worry about anything down here because he took care of business. Thank you.
Well, I'm very grateful to be part of the flight, the crew, and the program. I'm proud of the program and the people in it. And all of you are part of it. Some of you are watching it. We had an interesting mission and some very aggressive goals, and we tried to pull together and accomplish them, but we knew, again, as both Dan and Wex have said, that it took a lot of people to do it. And I'd like to personally thank all of you. We hope that the benefits of what we've done in the last 11 days will reach far into the future, both from the material science end of it, and from the medical end of it, and from the biology end of it. Thank you.
That's pretty amazing. It was pretty incredible. And I don't know how to describe it. 11 days is a short time, and it's also a long time. I noticed that while we were gone, somebody added some G to the flight. It's sort of tough to come back here. I'd like to thank those of you who were here for me for the past year to support me with your caring, your support, and your understanding. And I only hope I can give you back by sharing it with you some of what you gave to me, because that was the most important part. Thanks.
It was real great. I did that for Weatherby. I guess being last in things like this is sometimes kind of difficult because you find yourself trying to say the same thing that everyone else has said, but you try to say it in a different way so that you all don't know that I'm really doing that. But I guess when what you're trying to say is you're trying to thank people for a job very well done, and that's you all, for a job very well done, then I guess that deserves and should be said over and over again. And that's what I'm going to try to do here today to you all as a group, and I hope in the next couple of weeks or so that I can say to more of you individually. People are calling this mission a success. I guess I sort of need to sit back and think about that a little bit more, but successes don't happen by accident. In fact, they happen on purpose, only by thousands of very dedicated people such as yourselves who pay attention to every single detail and they make them happen. It's really an incredible team effort, and we as a flight crew were able to see that happen. I feel very privileged to have been a member of the STS-32 flight crew. But in fact, we're just a very, very small piece of this success, if you're going to call it that. I feel very proud to be a member of this much larger team that makes it really happen. I'd like to say thanks, like everyone else did, to our training team. over the last year or so that we've been together. They've worked many, many long hours. They worked very, very hard, and I think they've done a super job. And fortunately for us, we didn't have to use a whole lot of what they trained us for it. It went smoother than they made us work for. I'd also like to thank all the flight controllers, and those aren't just the flight controllers that work actually in the front room of the Mission Control Center, but all the guys that work in the back rooms too. And when you're up there flying at 190 miles above the surface of the Earth, flying Mach 25, with this very complicated and complex machine that's separating you from a cold, hard vacuum, it's real comforting to know that you got people working around the clock watching over you, and I thank you for that. I guess when our debriefings are over in the next few weeks, I'm looking forward to getting back in line and supporting all the upcoming missions in just as great a manner as you all have supported us. And I guess the final thought I'd like to leave you with is that STS-32 is only 4 weeks away. Let's all go out and do that mission just as well as this one. Thank you.
Well, you've heard a couple of folks refer to Mach 25, and I think most everybody that works in the space business knows what that means. That's 25 times the speed of sound, about 18,000 miles an hour, or about 4 seconds from here to the Astrodome. And I was fortunate enough to have 3 of the people on the crew were first-timers, and it's the first time in their life they got to go Mach 25. And when people get to go Mach 25, they get a badge that says they went Mach 25. And right now, I'm proud to give these guys their Mach 25 badges.
I too would like to express my appreciation to the STS-32 crew and their families, and to all of you out there and your families who made this a safe, successful mission. Thank you very much and have a good day.